Every Wednesday, a great local movie theater in my city does this thing called Wild Card Wednesday. We don't know what we're going to watch. Well, shout out to the lyric, and this week's film was Children of Men from 2006, one of my favorite films from that decade. So I'm in a terrible place mentally, and I want to talk about a great movie. So welcome to Tim's Hall of Fame. Children of Men was directed by Alfonso Cuarón, who would go on to direct great films like Gravity and Roma. We have a seriously severely talented director helming this picture. The film was released on Christmas Day 2006 and went on to receive 3 Academy Award nominations, so I probably don't need to go into too much depth of the backstory of this film. I'm sure most people who watch this video already know all of it. This is one of those kinds of movies where the plot, while amazing, is incidental to the true star of the movie, the world itself. Every image in this picture helps you build a world of malaise, dour mentality, and just a depressed feeling. This is a story about the end of humankind. There hasn't been a new child born in 18 years. We are led to believe that most other governments have collapsed or something has happened to them, and that the United Kingdom is the only livable society. But it is ruled as a police state and in a authoritarian way. We don't get much backstory about how the UK adopted this policy, but we really don't need it. There is a resistance group that fights with them, and the actions each side takes allows just enough information that we can use our imagination of seeing a world falling completely apart and destroying itself, and an authoritarian regime rising up. It is such beautiful world building. You can learn all this without ever hearing a single line of dialogue in this film. It is fucking perfect. Clive Owen is our audience surrogate for the story. He's just constantly depressed, nihilistic about the world ending, has a bottle of whiskey in his pocket at all times, and is just kind of coasting through life until the inevitable happens. I love Owen in films like Sin City, but this, in my opinion, is the best performance he has ever given in his entire career. He has a hippie friend in the film who is all about the weed and is a cartoonist, played wonderfully by Michael Caine. There was a documentary released in the 80s called Acting in Film, Arts and Entertainment, where Michael Caine explains his acting style. Ever since I saw that, I now look for the way he gets into his characters. He is such a great actor, and he is great as the weird hippie in this film. The crux of the plot is Clive Owen's character Theo is taken by the rebels and asked to provide transit papers for a person. The film is 20 years old, so I guess I can say spoilers if you don't want to know anything about the plot. The woman who needs transit is pregnant, the first pregnant woman in the world in 18 years. So we learn after that just how high the stakes are. One of the rebel leaders is played by Julianne Moore, and she is also Owen's ex-wife. And they explain only one thing about their past relationship, but once we find out what that is, we understand why they have the kind of dynamic and relationship they have in this movie. This is a great example of less is more in storytelling. Children of Men tells us one thing about these people, and we can create our own memories of what life was like for them in the before time. I cannot praise the writing and structure of this story enough. It is just magnificent. The action scenes are amazing. There are many one takes and tracking shots, and it lets you feel the raw world everyone is living in. Here is where we can praise how the action scenes in this film are dictated by the story as they should be, and not the other way around like so many other movies. Our main character is not an action hero badass. In fact, I don't think I see him kill anyone in this film. He is just a jaded man who is put into a situation, and now he's trying to do what's best for humankind. I know that this film is based off of a book, but I saw this movie about 6 times before I ever read the book. So I think it's a better movie than it is a book personally, but that's from a biased point of view. The music in this picture is minimalistic to match the dark world, but when the music does kick in, such as a scene where Clive Owen is basically bawling his eyes out, it is for the right reasons and you feel it just in your bones. It is so good. What I love about the presentation of this story is that it is not political in any way. It doesn't take sides in any world conflicts. It just shows you what is happening and lets you imagine how and why things got to this point. You see scheming at times between people, so it helps guide what is important to Clive Owen's character and his journey. This movie isn't interested in being political at all. It wants you to see the themes of hope and faith during the darkest of hours. This world is completely hopeless, directionless, and just resigned that they are all at the end. but through a few leaps of faith and some people putting the priorities of the world above their own, we can maybe repair what we thought was broken. Children of Men is basically a perfect movie to me. It came out the same year as Martin Scorsese's The Departed, and while I do love that film, I love Children of Men much more. Anytime someone talks to me about the Last of Us game series, I immediately think of this picture first because it came first. And while I do love the Last of Us games, their story is nowhere as near as pristine and beautiful as this piece of art is. Obviously, if you haven't seen Children of Men, I recommend it higher than any movie I've reviewed on my channel thus far. This is a movie that only comes around once every few years, or maybe even longer than that. One that captures your imagination, pulls you into its world, and doesn't let go. But the world is so beautifully constructed and the characters perfectly sketched that it's a world I don't want to leave, even though living there would be the drizzling shits. You get my point. This is an amazing movie. I know that it's gotten much love over the last 19 years, but I wanted to finally talk about it, and now that I have this channel, I finally can. I obviously give Children of Men a very loving and hugging 4 stars out of 4. If you haven't seen this movie, you owe it to yourself to see it at least once in your life. And welcome to the Hall of Fame, Children of Men. And that is my review. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this, please like and subscribe. Here's links to my other videos. Follow me on social media if you like. And until next time, I am Ghost.